What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. One thing that I never could kind of get over when I was working in football was in camp, in practice, in any scenario, even the game, when a guy would just get injured and he would be laying there on the ground and then the cart would come pick him up. And the coaching staff had no choice, just like the position groups and the position coaches and the coordinators. They had to relay this message. We're going to keep going. We are going to figure out a way to win. It's like, Coach, we just lost our two best players in the first quarter. It's like, Coach, we just our starting left tackle just tore his ACL on the 7th day of training camp. We are double effed. Yet, as a coach, you have to almost be numb to injuries. Like, you can't be phased and let it derail you. You have to have like this false sense of confidence that you can figure it out, even though there is no overcoming certain individuals. That's why Peyton Manning once famously said, or the coaches for the Colts, when John Gruden asked, like, why does Peyton Manning take all the reps? And I think Tom Moore answered simply, well, if Peyton Manning misses a game or gets injured, we're fucked, and we don't practice fucked. And I was like, I appreciate that realism. But you don't get that from many coaches, and you don't get that from many GMs. They try to talk almost like, we'll figure it out, next man up. Well, there's no next man up when you lose an all-pro player. I even argue when you lose your starting quarterback, it can really derail you. Now, how good Justin Fields is, I'm not sure he's that good, and I'm someone that loved him coming out of college. But when I woke up this morning and saw that he got carted off the field, my first thought is like, obviously, is that a season-ending injury? And typically when stuff like that happens in training camp, no one can focus. It's really hard to function. And I've been, whether I worked in the NFL or been going to practices for a long time when I lived in the Bay Area, it just derails the practice. Now, luckily, news has come out that he just dislocated his toe, and all signs point to him being okay. It's not like he shattered his foot. It's not like he tore his ACL or tore an Achilles. Dislocated a toe, which I can't imagine felt extremely painful and probably sent chills up his body and pain that he'd never felt. So he's laying on the ground. Who knows what he thought happened, right? Which sometimes happens when a guy is carted off the field. The initial pain, they freak out and they think it's devastating. It turns out that's just going to be okay. The sick part is of this business when a guy's laying on the field. Okay, you know what Scotty Scheffler taught us? You drive for show, but you putt for dough. And the easiest way for you to make some dough, betting on this week's tournament on DraftKings. From the opening round through Sunday, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered. Chris Gotterup, who just finished third at the Open and won the week before at the Scottish Open, betting favorite this week. Do think he's going to run out of juice. Do you know one name I like a lot? Tony Finau. Showed some serious life across the pond. You can get him right now to win the tournament, plus 350, or plus 3,500, excuse me. But plus 650 to top 5, plus 330 to top 10. Tony Finau has won this tournament before. So like Tony Finau a lot. Wyndham Clark, Mav McNeely, a couple other guys to keep an eye on, trending, trying to battle for a spot on the Ryder Cup team. Here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers, bet 5 to get 150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use the code JOHN. That's code JOHN, J-O-H-N. I got an H in my name, J-O-H-N. For new customers to get 150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Especially if there are people huddled around them. You just pray it's not one of your better players. And you just hope, especially during training camp, it's someone on the roster from 75 to 90. That while that sucks, you don't want to lose anybody, you would rather sacrifice that individual than a guy that's going to be a starter, a guy that's been to 3 Pro Bowls, a guy that you're going to depend on to help lead you to the playoffs, whether it's a quarterback, whether it's an offensive or defensive lineman, or whether it's one of the skill guys. And it's just a huge part of training camp. We're already seeing a bunch of guys go down. I actually had a conversation with a guy who played in the NFL for a long time. We had a phone call the other day. because he wants to get into scouting and then ultimately get into coaching. And this guy's won a Super Bowl, really high level guy. And I talked to him about, the situation of going to these practices, and he's like, I got my shot because someone got injured. And that's the huge part of the business. These guys get their opportunities and become consistent players because either in camp or during the season, someone shatters their leg, someone tears their tricep, someone breaks their collarbone. And all of a sudden, a guy that was a practice squad guy that you thought at the end of July or early August that somehow with an injury made the team as a backup becomes a starter. And then you look back 5 years later and he's got a second contract and he's been to a Pro Bowl. And that's how fast things happen, all because of injuries, which in this league happen at crazy rates. But we also talked about is like, and he started in an era when it was a little more physical during training camp. There were double days. I am a firm believer, and he agreed with me, is football is a lot like boxing or UFC or any sport where practice really matters. And because it's a physical sport, training your body to take that level of physicality really obviously has a huge impact in playing in the games. So building the calluses during the off season make it easier to just start week one when you're just going full go. And I think nowadays you basically go 6 months since the season ends, right? Because OTAs are a joke. They don't they barely exist. I mean, the practices on OTAs, you've never worn pads in the pros, but once upon a time, they were a lot more physical and they were a lot more intense. Now, most coaches, because one, the rules, two, your players will turn you in. They don't even try. It's not even worth it. And you're paying guys so much money, you're kind of nervous that like tear an ACL or tear an Achilles. So OTAs and the spring ball have turned into a country club. It's why I've always been so critical of some of these players. Like, if you have a $200,000 bonus, $150,000 bonus, and you're training, and you can't just dedicate a month to just go to your facility to get that money, I don't care if you're making 10, 15, $20 million a year. You're an idiot. You are just wasting money because you are literally doing the same thing. And then when you are on the field, it is not very difficult. But once you come to training camp and this first practice happens, the actual training camp part, even before pads, turns into what OTAs used to be 15, 20 years ago. It's pretty intense. So all of a sudden you get these guys that get injured because you're going like 0 to 100. And I just, I think we're a little off kilter. We're never going back. We're never going to get to a point where the double days are a part of this, where there's physicality in the off season. But I do think that directly leads to some of these injuries.